Hey there, cool cats and kittens. Professor King here. We're going to be talking about the readings for today, which are Banaji and Greenwald's Homo Categoricus and selections from Ambrose Bierce's The Devil's Dictionary. We'll also be relating those back to Chapter 9 from Everything's an Argument, which discusses arguments of definition. So, before you have finished the readings and watched this video, you'll definitely want to watch the PowerPoint notes video on that as well. So I'm going to take it to a share screen and go over the notes with you. I'll try my best to remember to highlight as I go through so that, if you want to skip to anything or rewind or any of that, you kind of know exactly where you're going visually. But let me put the share screen on and then we will go straight to these notes. I'll start with Banaji and Greenwald's Homo Categoricus. Okay, so some questions or items you'll want to consider in order to better understand the writer's overall argument and supporting points. One thing I'll say is Banaji and Greenwald are great in that they come from a scientific background, so that form of writing usually has a lot of like nice subheadings and charts, and it's just formatted much more easily than say like an MLA essay, so that you can find things relatively easily. So when you do your pre-reading, make sure you're aware of those subheadings of, the places where you can find certain information. So I'll just begin with the questions that will help you, if you're struggling with Banaji and Greenwald, to guide you in the right direction. The first thing I want to remind you is that whenever you're reading, right, you want to be engaging in active reading strategies. So you want to be highlighting as you go, writing notes in the margins, putting a box around unfamiliar terms, and then when you get to the end of the paragraph in which that unfamiliar term is found, you can look the term up, define it, and then reread it in context to help you get a better understanding of what's going on. So I highly recommend doing that. And then here are the questions, and not just for Banaji and Greenwald, but also for Bierce, because Bierce is written in, at a very different time period than we're living today. So the language is a little bit different. So the questions I have for Banaji and Greenwald that will help you to summarize this piece to make sure you're kind of getting all of the points you need to get. You want to be able to answer the following bullet pointed questions so that you know what they're talking about. Not just overall argument, but also supporting points for that overall argument. In any reading you do, you want to make sure you understand what the general gist of what the writer is saying is, and also how that writer gets there with all of the, sub-arguments and evidence and all of that. So the first question is, in what ways are stereotypes harmful, and to whom are they harmful? In what ways are stereotypes helpful, and for whom are they helpful, right? I guess I should put for whom. According to Banaji and Greenwald, right? I'm not asking you what you think about this. This is all, making sure you're summarizing their article, or I'm sorry, their chapter clearly. So these are not questions for you to just come up with, right? This is being able to answer these questions as Banaji and Greenwald unpack this argument. Be able to summarize what they call the 4 feats of our mind's ability to categorize and what those feats do. Those being multidimensional categories, millions of person categories created on the fly, leaping beyond the available information, and cooperative categorization. Next, be able to answer the question, who stereotypes and why? And then finally, where they conclude is kind of what happens when certain groups internalize stereotypes, or in other words, they stereotype themselves, or they believe the stereotypes that are attributed to them, right? What can happen as a result of that? And the thing I really would like for you to draw from this is that idea of, they talk about these 3 different ways of looking at stereotypes. The first way is that overwhelmingly they can be harmful, right? But that's not the only purpose they serve, right? They come up with a second one that they don't really agree with, so I'll just gloss over that. And then the third one is they actually come up with that argument about how stereotypes help us to see people as distinct individuals. and really, you know, find that in the text and think about read what they're saying and think about what they're saying there, because that's some really powerful stuff. But that's essentially what we have to say for Banaji and Greenwald. If you have further questions, again, always feel free to message me.